Blog Talk Radio.
And in those days, there were giants in the land, and the sons of the angels of God looked upon the daughters of men and found them fair, and took of them wives, and their sons became of old great men of renown. So they have been mixing with us on a genetic level since the time of Enoch and Ezekiel's will.
Here on Earth we're intrigued by the sun, moon, and stars, and imagine there's got to be planets like ours. So conceive of a face on the surface of Mars, so in need of a meaning and purpose we lost. That indeed they believe that these might be our gods, or that maybe with time we'll do right and evolve and eventually reach what they seek and then solve all the problems of man. But they really don't know that they fall in the works of our hands, all but just filthy rags. So we travel the lands to dig up our past time elapses, and with it are much of the facts. Some imagine that God came in alien craft. They react in this way, they're so desperate for meaning and purpose, but satanic service. They know that they have evil motives. Am I making you nervous? I'm just scratching the surface. The signs from Ezekiel's will, when the skies unfold like scrolls and the breaking of seals. Heed the warning, the message is clear. Heed the warning, the time draws near. See the signs from Ezekiel's wheel, when the skies unfold like scrolls and the breaking of seals. Heed the warning, the message is clear. Heed the warning, the time draws near. In the blink of an eye, all believers will be raptured. Anyone left receives a mark or they're captured. This leader will arise, claim his origins are alien, possessed by Satan on the side of the Nephilim. Profess those who left held us back from evolving, and now that they're gone, we'll solve all of Earth's problems. The worship of any one God will be halted, evolving to gods and ourselves be exalted. They'll play on these lines, and in time they'll devise and arrive at a plan that will help hypnotize all the ones left behind, the spiritually blind. He's stolen their souls, now he's stealing their minds. It's already started, we're seeing the signs. Just study the word, prophecies all aligned. Now chop off the heads of all those who fight at one earth, one world. Aren't you excited? The signs from Ezekiel's wheel, when the skies unfold like scrolls and the breaking of seals. Heed the warning, the message is clear. Heed the warning, the time draws near. See the signs from Ezekiel's wheel, when the skies unfold like scrolls and the breaking of seals. Heed the warning, the message is clear. Heed the warning, the time draws near.
Hello everyone, this is Ben Garcia with FallenAngels.tv. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Controversy, where we try to help you decipher the illusion parading as reality, and to give you some truth behind what is revealed through the mainstream news, who is just only trying to entertain, distract, and keep people dumbed down and hidden from those things that are important to us as individuals and as a collective, as a humanity, and as a planet, and as a world. I've got some very important information on some very breaking news. This story that I'm going to be talking about today with the secret Apollo missions and what exactly they did find on the moon, and this is it's going to blow you away. But first I'm going to start with an article that I had written on our Day of Independence, July 4th, this past 2008. But this article is actually published July 14th of 2008. It's called Where Are There New Revolutionaries? You can find it at the Populist Party of America. All my articles are published there. Well, most of them anyways. But I'm not going to read the whole article, just a certain part of it, just to give you insight into the New World Order agenda, what's really going on behind the curtain that we see as reality, that everybody accepts as reality. Anyways, we'll start with a quote from Meyer Amschel Rothschild, who, the Rothschilds are part of the New World Order money elite. They are some of the oldest international banksters, have long asserted financial wealth and power over the planet. A very, very powerful family. Anyways, the mainstream press always has and is largely owned by the elite. was and is used to mislead, disinform, and purposely deceive. The press was never used to enlighten or to educate, but to manipulate and betray. Truth is for those who work outside the system. Unwelcomed in mainstream media, it has been and always will be utilized to control, scare, and steer the ultimate fate of the sheeple, who know not that they are imprisoned by their own vain entertainments and mostly meaningless endeavors. The people do not even know that they are being prepared for slaughter. The ultimate goal of the elite is to decimate the population into the perfect size to serve as a slave class. With the use of vaccines, manufactured disease, depleted uranium, chemtrails, genetically modified food, the poisoning of the food and water supply, war, and now with the ultimate evil of unfettered cloning taking place, they are largely succeeding, as outlined by their report from Iron Mountain. You can look that up. So where are the patriots? The modern-day Patrick Henry, the Paul Revere, the Thomas Paine, the Thomas Jefferson, the George Washington, the Marquis de Lafayette. Our country is in need of a revolution. We are in dire need of heroes. So I call on you now, patriots. Rise in defense of your mother. Rise for your children and for their children. Because if we do not make a stand and make the criminals pay for their misdeeds and have justice served, the rest of the world will have no other recourse than to prepare themselves to battle what would be the greatest evil on the planet, as they did pre-Hitler, that being the danger of the world's strongest nation in control of a criminally insane, bloodthirsty elite. We, as citizens in vigilance, must rise to safeguard this dream of freedom and those values which we celebrate on this awesome day of our mighty, God-blessed independence. How can we, the people of this once great nation, a once great people ourselves, allow the likes of two really stupid men like George Bush and Dick Cheney to destroy our nation's morals, values, and freedoms, and all for the sake of criminal gain? How can we allow government terrorists to control the might, wealth, fate, destiny, and direction of a country which represented to the world that shining jewel of equality, a nation which once preserved government for the benefit of the common good? How could each of us as citizens and benefactors of the legacies of this nation become so complacent as to be totally unaware of the world changing and people impacting decisions being made recklessly by the Washington establishment and the Bush administration, the neocon hawks bent on a third global war and a renewed crusade? America, do you not understand that we are at the end of our history and that the empire even now is crumbling all around you? Do you not see that our currency is more like monopoly money than any other foreign currency which holds real value? Do you not know that the Amero is already printed and in the bank? Literally, the manure is about to hit the fan and splatter all over us, and yet we continue as if all is hunky-dory. And so long as the soap operas, comedy shows, and sporting events are still available for viewing, our citizens will sit idly by, happy in blissful ignorance, entertained at least for one more evening. Will you not at least turn off that TV for a little while? Seek out some real news and find out what's really going on so that we as a collective can do something about it? Or will you, like others, ignore the great challenges of today and tomorrow so that those who consider us nothing more than worthless eaters can continue to implement their planetary police state system of oppression and control? If this is the fate that you want for your kids and for their kids, then surely continue to watch meaningless, nonsensical BS entertainment TV, which is nothing more than a distraction, or like many others now, do your homework, face the facts, get over your fear, and come to the realization that it is up to us, the true lovers and patriots of this nation, the lovers of Yahweh and Yeshua, Savior Messiah, to rise up and to take on the tyrants who think they are above the law. And in ending, a quote from George Bush Sr. If the people knew what we had done, they would chase us down the street and lynch us. I'm still hoping for that someday, because Lord knows there's a lot of justice that needs to be served, and, well, definitely it's going to take the Savior to restore all things back to order. But, well, I have always said that there will come a time soon, now, I've been saying this for years now, when something so major will happen that it will force us as a world, as a people, as a collective, to alter what we know as reality. The way we live it will forever be radically changed. And with that, I'm going to go into the story of the Apollo moon missions and William Rutledge, who was the commander of the Apollo 20 mission. And I'm going to introduce you also to the work of Luca Cantamburlo. He's a journalist from Venice. But anyways, recently, a friend of mine, Georgia Johnson, she was also a co-host here at FallenAngels.tv. She uploaded this video to our FallenAngels.tv website. It was a video of a joint American-Soviet secret Apollo space mission in which both countries collaborated to reach, supposedly, an ancient cigar-shaped alien spacecraft which had in prior missions been spotted on the dark side of the moon. According to two articles by Luca Cantamburlo, a journalist correspondent from San Servolo Island, Venice, he writes for two different Italian magazines. One's called Tecnologia Difesa, and these are Italian, so I don't excuse the pronunciation. The other one is UFO Notizario. In his article, these are all recent, because these videos weren't uploaded until 2007, and so all this is still a story that is unveiling even now. In his article, written interview with William Rutledge, an Apollo 20 astronaut, the coordinates for this craft on the moon are given as latitude 10 degrees south, longitude 117.5 degrees east, and this is southwest of Del Porte and north of Izak. This is, if you look at a moon map, you'll see that this is on the dark side of the moon. And from what I've gathered on researching into this story, supposedly the Apollo 15 mission was the first to have spotted this cigar-shaped craft. Also, the Russians were aware of it, and they had even crash-landed a probe somewhere near this craft. They had detailed maps, and it was decided at that time to do this joint mission. The Apollo 20 mission, which had been publicly scrapped, covertly took place August 1976. The commander of this Apollo 20 mission was one William Rutledge, whom, according to the story, is now a man of 76 years of age who lives in Rwanda. He was a former Bell Laboratories employee as well as a test pilot for the United States Air Force. In 2007, Rutledge began disclosing information and spreading through video and photographic material evidence that NASA and our government not only know about the existence of alien life forms and several artifacts, even entire cities, but has and have been covering up this knowledge for over 60 years that we are indeed not alone in the universe. And this all goes back to the Roswell incident. I'm not going to go into that, but you can look that up as well. Luca recently had a second confirmation from the supposed Apollo 19 commander who has been in contact with him, and he has been having general discussions with him and doing an interview process with him as well. His identity at some point will be disclosed by Luca. They are preparing further revelations. But in his article entitled Revelations by Another Insider on the Apollo 1920 Case, I'm not going to list the guy's name or what his code name is that he revealed to Luca, but if blank has told me the truth about his identity, and this is a quote, and this will be confirmed, his courageous gesture could change forever the human history and our perspective of humanity's role in the universe. The Pentagon, NASA, and the Russian government, in my humble opinion, still ongoing with the quote, could take advantage of the revelation, helping to widen mankind's horizons in every dimension, both physical and spiritual, and helping to stop the energy crisis, could improve the U.S. and Russian relations and reputations, and to the level current divergence among Moscow and Washington. As I've already written in a former report, this is ongoing with the quote, it would be a good thing to disclose and spread the truth about the reality of the extraterrestrial intelligence in the universe through an unknown historical fact in which the two great powers of the world of the past, the USA and the USSR, joined together for scientific and peaceful activities in spite of all their differences and political hostilities. As pointed out by William Rutledge in one of his comments on a YouTube video, the Apollo 20 missions and all that it reveals belongs to all of mankind. It is part of all of human heritage. Now, I want to also point out that it was former President Ronald Reagan, while sharing the stage with former Russian leader Mikhail Gorbachev in 1988, I believe they were addressing a United Nations Assembly. They said at that time, it's a lot bigger quote than this, but I'm going to only quote this relevant part. With our obsession with antagonism of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world, end quote. And of course, Reagan knew something that we didn't, namely that this presence has been here for a long time, even before Adam was created. And you can go into my other shows to learn more about that. I use the Bible and biblical prophecies and other scriptural references to expound upon that, but we're going to continue on with this story. Commander 19 claims that the coordinate for the ship, as this is the second confirmation of where this ship is supposedly at on the moon, and I couldn't tell you what these coordinates mean. I'm just going to read them to you. And somebody out there that understands, the latitude and longitude of the moon that can look this up and confirm, please do. Contact me. Let me know what you find. Lunar coordinates of the presumed alien space mothership is nose 17.3 degrees south, 117.62 degrees east. The cockpit is 17.15 degrees south, 117.62 degrees east, and the base of the ship is 17.2 degrees south, 117.62 degrees east. Another one of the most amazing videos released by William Rutledge recently, and the one that got me interested in this story to begin with, is the video of the Apollo mission moon flyover, which shows in the video culminates in the spotting and then focus on a cigar-sized, 4-kilometer-long alien ancient spaceship that is said to have been there for 1.5 billion years, or estimated to be, which is quite a long time. It would definitely put it out of the realm of being made by man. It was said to have been 4 kilometers long and found on the backside of the moon by the Apollo 15 crew, who snapped 2 photos also along with this video. And when you see this video, you're just going to be amazed. And this video has also been confirmed by several other NASA photos and other testimonies, and I will talk about that more as we go on with this. But William Rutledge did provide two links to the website of the Lunar and Planetary Institute in Houston, which is a research institute that provides support services to NASA and planetary science community. The links to find the pictures, the AS-15-P-9630 and the AS-15-P-9625 from the Apollo Image Atlas, are at the following: http://www.lpi.us.ar.edu/frame/apollo/frame/question mark AS-15-P-9625. And then the other one would be the same address, but just the different ending. It would be AS-15-P-9630. And you can find these 2 panoramic photos that NASA has on this particular site, and it shows this same cigar-shaped craft. And it's just 2 still photos. Well, Rutledge has also released some very amazing detailed still shots of this cigar-shaped craft, and he has that on a different video, which is also amazing. But according to Rutledge, not only did they find this one particular cigar-shaped craft, within the proximity were also 2 triangular-shaped craft and the ancient ruins of a city, all within the same locale. Now I'm going to read a little excerpt from the interview that Luca did. And I want to honor Luca and his work, and I of course pray for his safety and that of his families, and also of the NASA astronauts, William Rutledge and the others that are coming forth now to bring forth truth to the public, to speak truth to power. And even though, reality sounds stranger than fiction, you'll find that oftentimes it is. Okay. Luca asks, did you go inside the spaceship? How big was it, and what did you find inside? Rutledge: we went inside the big spaceship, also into a triangular one. The major parts of the exploration it was a mothership, very old, who crossed the universe at least a milliard of years ago, 1.5 estimated. There were many signs of biology inside, old remains of vegetation in a motor section, special triangular rocks which emitted tears of a yellow liquid which had some special medical properties, and of course signs of extrasolar creatures. We found remains of little bodies living in a network of glass tubes all along the ship. But the major discovery was 2 bodies, one intact. Luca: did you visit the city on the moon? Where was it? Did you understand if there was a connection with the spaceship? Are the city and the ship still there? Rutledge: The city was named on Earth and scheduled as Station 1, but it appeared to be real space garbage, full of scrap, gold parts. Only one construction seemed intact. We named it the Cathedral. We made shots of pieces of metal of every part, wearing calligraphy exposed to the sun. The city seems to be as old as the ship, but it is a very tiny part. On the rover video, the telephoto lens make the artifacts greater. Rutledge has also released another video which details the Apollo 20 return mission. This, again, is a very amazing video. Now, I'm not asking you to believe anything that I'm saying. I'm asking you to go check this out for yourself and to look into the story of William Rutledge and Commander 19. And I'm going to, at the end of the show, I'll give you the website for Luca's work. Okay. They detail, in this video, details the Apollo 20 return mission wherein the figure of a woman's body is portrayed. Rutledge claims that this is a video of a body that they had located within the ship. He and his associates had determined that this body was in a great state of preservation, and in fact, it looked as if its hair and fingernails and other things were still alive, and that it had been somehow placed into suspended animation. And this is a continuation of the interview between Luca and Rutledge. What about the Mona Lisa EBE? That's what they nicknamed the creature or the woman that they found on this particular ship, was the Mona Lisa EBE. How does she look like, and where was she at that time when you found her out on the moon? Where do you think she is now? Rutledge. Mona Lisa. I don't remember who named the girl, Leonov or me. Leonov was Alexis Leonov. He was the Russian cosmonaut that was part of this Apollo 20 mission. Was the intact EBE. Humanoid, female, 1.65 meters, genitalized, haired, 6 fingers. Very interesting, because remember, the Canaanites, the giant bloodline, they had 6 fingers and 6 toes. And here we have confirmation that this creature that was found in this plane, in this spaceship on the moon, has 6 fingers. That should let you know something. There's a tie and an association to the Nephilim here, so keep listening. Genitalized, haired, 6 fingers. We guess that the mathematics are all based on a dozen, just like a lot of the Sumerian and Mayan mathematics. Function, piloting device fixed to fingers and eyes, no clothes. We had to cut 2 cables connected to the nose. No nostril. Leonov fixed the eyes device. You'll see that in the video. Concretions of blood or bile liquid erupted and froze from the mouth, nose, and eyes, and some parts of the body. Some parts of the body were in unusually good condition. The hair and the skin was protected by a thin, transparent protection layer. As we told to Mission Control, condition seemed not dead, but not alive. We had no medical background or experience, but Leonov and I used the test. We fixed our bioequipment on the EBE, and telemetry received by surgeon Mission Control Meds was positive. I guess that means she was alive. That's another story. Some parts could be unbelievable now. I prefer to tell the whole story when other videos will be online. And Rutledge is planning to release more videos, so I'm going to continue to bring the, updates on this story, because I think this is so profoundly important for humanity and for mankind and for the work that I do in exposing the return of the Nephilim. This experience has been filmed in the lunar module, and you'll see this in the video too. And all these videos are found on the fallenangels.tv website. They're all featured right there on the main page. We found a second body. Destroyed, we brought the head on board. Color of the skin was blue-gray, a pastel blue. Skin had some strange details above the eyes and the front, a strap around the head, wearing no inscription. The cockpit was full of calligraphy and formed a long semi-hexagonal tube. She is on Earth and she is not dead, claims Rutledge, but I prefer to post other videos before telling of what happened after. So that right there is going to be a very interesting story too, to hear about, you know, this supposed woman that they found in this craft on the backside of the moon. Continuing with the interview with Luca and Rutledge. Were you able to understand the origin of the spacecraft and how old was it? The age was estimated to be 1.5 milliards of years. It was confirmed during exploration. We found ejections from the original crust and northosite, spirals in the feldspathoids coming from the impact which formed its SAC-D. The density of motor impacts on the ship validated the age, also little white impacts on the Monaco Hill at the west of the ship. Luca, how did you get years ago the copies of the footages of this mission? Which I thought that was a great question, Luca. Rutledge, about the footage. One day someone I know told me he was charged to maintain security around a container. A building had to be destroyed and archives had to be burned by a plasma torch. The nuclear power plant didn't deliver energy at the right price, so the container was plenty of interest things during some days. As human is naturally curious, people charge the security went inside. My friend took video films, a couple of 16-millimeter plates, boxes of black and white paper, and 2 enlargers. He contacted me for selling the unused paper, and that's how I discovered the other things. I've already seen some pictures before. 11 of the 16 pictures were violet blue, old RC photographies. I watched the tapes. It was not a business affair. I put them in security. The only important thing for me was the black and white sheets of paper. It was 15 years ago that William Rutledge received these videos, held on to them, and has recently gone public with them. Now, I'm going to tell you another story that has recently come to light, also done by Luca, who has now, he claims to have had the chance to interview the survived Apollo 19 commander. Now, I don't know his name. He hasn't revealed. But he says that since William decided to tell the truth, he thinks that it's the right moment for him to do the same. Which, you know, the Bible always says, I think it's Matthew 18, where it says that out of the mouths of 2 or 3 witnesses shall the truth be established. Well, we have confirmation from Rutledge, confirmation from the NASA photo and the videos. Now we have confirmation from Commander 19. And then Luca also received one other further confirmation that I will try to get to before the end of the show. Commander 19 in interview states, quote, our main mission targets were one of the triangular objects located south of the main mothership. The mothership herself and the moon base located southwest of the mothership. Our landing site was the same of Apollo 20. Soviets launched the SL-12 2 months before our mission, and Luna 21 landed on the west side of the crater. Apollo 20 used Luna Code 2 as a radio beacon to land exactly on the second largest rock stare not far from Luna 21. Rutledge and Leonov made extensive use of Luna Code 2 due to its highly sophisticated equipment necessary for this kind of mission. And not only the 4 panoramic telephotometers, but also the X-ray scope combined with laser telemeter and the radiation detector to verify the possible radiations emitted by the ship and the base. Luca, what can you tell me about the origin of the alien spacecraft resting on the backside of the moon? The cigar-shaped objects in the 2 triangles. Is there any relationships among them? And can you give me once again, as you've already done in a private message, the lunar coordinates of the triangular object never revealed before? Quote, the origin of the 2 objects, the motherships and the alien base, were the same materials and same age. We think that they have been shot down during a sort of lunar Pearl Harbor, a war in space. Does the Bible not talk about a war in the heavens? The base has been completely destroyed, and the mothership and the two spacecraft shot down during an emergency takeoff. That is what William and Leonov thought too. As I previously answered in our private message, the two objects are clearly visible in those two photographs I told you about, the AS-15P-9625 and the AS-15-P-9630, those two panoramic photographs released by NASA, which do confirm that the cigar-shaped ship, which was there on the back and dark side of the moon. He says that in the upper side of the pic and just right of the mothership, at coordinates 18.7 south, -116.92 east, and 18.31 south, -117.48 east. You can notice they are absolutely identical in their triangular shape. If you use software like NASA Whirlwind, it could be easy to locate them and notice the green metallic brilliance of the first object. Now, I'm not going to go into the rest of the interview with Commander 19, but you can find and read all of this for you. Let me see if I can find the website here. But anyways, it's very, very important, I think, that all people go and take a look at this story, because it could be critical. I mean, if NASA is hiding the fact that they found a 4-kilometer long, ancient, 1.5 million year old cigar-shaped UFO on the moon, and not only did they find it, but they've been there and have gone inside of it and explored it, and even have video of all this, that's an astounding revelation, and one that will alter once the whole world finds out, because I'm telling you, official disclosure is coming. They are going to let everybody know about this presence at some time very soon. And I still think that the whole alien agenda is tied in to the Vatican deception, and that they're going to try to pull upon us, where they're going to bring, say that these ancient aliens are our creators, and that they were the ones that were the benefactors of mankind, and that they created humanity. Well, it says in the Sumerian lore that they created humanity to be a servant, a slave, really, and so that doesn't sound benevolent. Why would we want to be a slave race to them? We wouldn't. But anyways, Luca's website is www.angelimarriti.it, and you can find a number of wonderful stories and all kinds of information about these things that we've been talking about. And I've been in contact with Luca and talked to him a little bit about this story. I told you, I'm not a preacher or prophet or pastor or anything like that. I'm more an investigative journalist, and I do my research before I ever bring forth a story such as this. And I know that this sounds, once again, fantastical and something that is beyond, the ability for us really to fathom, comprehending what this revelation would mean for humanity and for mankind. Not only mankind, but for, we really need to know what's going on. And I wish that the governments of the world, especially the American government, would come clean on some of this stuff. I know that there's been a lot of governments that have, released their UFO files into their national archives. Brazil has been one, and Russia declassified their UFO files, and the British military. I'm assuming that soon the U.S. In some fashion will declassify a lot of things. In fact, Rutledge talks about how this particular story that I'm talking about now was declassified in 1992, but that it's taken this long for whistleblowers to come forth and for evidence of what they say to be also found and available to back up their stories. And because I can imagine it would be difficult for any NASA astronaut or anybody that was part of that whole program, for those people that are working in the deep underground bases and have knowledge of things that we have no clue about. The public has no idea what's going on in many of these deep underground bases, and there's all kind of Dr. Moreau-ish type experimentation and stuff going on. But I'm going to talk about Luca's third confirmation from this story, and this came from AboveTopSecret.com, where they were sharing this story amongst themselves. They were in the forum, and everybody was discussing what it means for humanity and whether this story is true or not. Everybody was trying to find out who William Rutledge was. I know when I first saw the videos myself, when they were uploaded to my website, I was blown away at the possibility of that being truthful. And taking that into account, that there might be some validity to what I'm watching, I started to look into some other videos, and not only other videos, but started doing some research on who William Rutledge was. That's when I came across Luca's information and his story, and these other three confirmations. And then there's a number of pieces and stories and videos that are being put together to either confirm this story or show it as disinformation. Which myself, I'm not going to make a claim either way right now. I do, I absolutely believe, even before this, according to other research that I've done, that there are all kind of anomalies both on the moon and on Mars, and that we're not being told the truth about either of them. There's towers that are 2 miles high on the moon that are definitely not naturally created. There's water and life on Mars, and there's entire cities and civilization. I remember this one book I read a long time ago called The Lost Book of Enki. It's a Sumerian book. It's a book put out by Zecharia Sitchin. But in this book, Enki, who I think is symbolic of Satan, Enki, and I talk about the War of the Bloodlines. Well, the Sumerian lords also confirmed the battle between the bloodlines, except for it's between the Enlilites and the Enkiites, sort of like the Sethites and the Canaanites. But just know that even in Sumerian culture, there is a war between the bloodlines. But in this one particular book, it talks about this old, the king of Nibiru, and I believe his name was Alalu. Well, Alalu was banished. He was going to be tried, and he was going to be put to death for, I don't remember exactly what he did. I don't remember what he did, but he did something against his nation, and then he was either going to be banished or killed. And instead of succumbing to that fate, he left from Nibiru, took off in a spaceship, and came all the way to within proximity of the Earth. And in this story, it talks about how he crash-landed a spaceship. I can't remember if it was on the Mars or the Moon, but there is a story in the Lost Book of Enki that confirms that a long time ago, that Alalu had come across in this spacecraft and had crash-landed. Now, whether this is the same craft, I'm not going to say. I have no way of knowing that. I can't even remember if it was on the Moon or Mars, but I'll definitely have to look that story up again to see if I can find out more details on it. But definitely, people, there is a lot more going on Mars and on the Moon than we ever have been privileged to know about. And only even the upper strata of intelligence operations and people that have heavy-duty secret clearance, still, they don't all have knowledge of, a lot of these things. And so, this whistleblower is, according to the written testimony, the son of a former NRO employee who years ago, before he was about to die of inoperable cancer, revealed a secret which has always been a weight on this guy's chest, on his son's chest. He claimed to have participated as a member of the mission control team for an ultra-black project in the mid-1970s that sent another mission to the Moon to investigate a particularly provocative anomaly. The main points made by this anonymous ATF about his father's story, and this is also another article that Luca had written, which gave him third confirmation about this story. Number one, he did not mention anything about Apollo 20, never even gave a formal name. In addition, there were no markings on the rocket or spacecraft. This operation was entirely off the books. No one on the operation used a real name, and that's how far it went. Number two, mission control was located at Vandenberg Air Force Base, but the actual launch, see, this is one of the problems that people don't understand about the Apollo 20 mission, is that nobody can figure out where it was launched from because there's no evidence, no video evidence of it, of its liftoff. But what this guy says is that the actual launch was on the island of Diego Garcia. That this island was located in the Indian Ocean along the equator with virtually nothing around it. This site was chosen because if launched to the east, the rocket would have nearly 12,000 miles of unbroken water to help cover the track. And I think I remember something about it being very important that they launched from the east in order to reach the Moon. Something about the orbit and the trajectory and being able to reach it, but I'm still not, familiar about it. It was accepted people would see the launch wherever it was, but this site would limit that, is what he says. His third claim, the project was initiated by Nixon's orders in the late 1971. He said his father's work began on the project in 1974, but that the actual mission took place in 1976. He says that his father said that he had to undergo an intensive psychological exam before he was selected to join the program. He also said that he thought he was brought in mainly because he could be trusted, which is always how these secret intelligence agencies that can remain compartmentalized is because everybody's willing to, to take that vow of secrecy. It's like all the death cults and secret societies that have all the secret oaths and secret initiations and keeping everything from the public. But this is number 4. The actual mission consisted of 3 American astronauts whose names he would not mention. He said that these men had been trained for nearly 4 years, specifically for this mission. He also said that in 1973 it was confirmed that the object was in fact a derelict spacecraft. He reviewed these pictures personally when selected for the project. Number 5. The spacecraft was speculated to be roughly 1.5 million years old. Although he was not allowed access to the exact information, the ship was badly decayed from meteor impacts and the ancient crash. The ship was cigar-shaped and massive. The section was roughly 1 mile long. Evidence suggested it had been explored before us. Evidence suggested that it had been explored before us. Wow. So somebody else had explored it too. No alien remains were found. This is what he says. Rutledge claims different. 300 kilograms of artifacts were stripped and brought back. My father described what he calls strange hieroglyphics and markings covering what was assumed to be the cockpit of the craft. And number 6, finally, he says, at least 2 other governments were involved with the project. My father said he worked with a British analyst and he knew of a smaller team in Australia, but wasn't sure if the Australian government were exactly aware of what our men were doing. And in finality, he says that the entire mission was extremely compartmentalized and that his father only knew the little bit that he was privy to. And that, the people at the upper levels of the echelon, the eye of the pyramid, the eye of the Illuminati pyramid, that those people, those are the ones that are calling the shots and pulling the strings. And so I thought it was important to bring this story to you. I'm sorry, I apologize that I did not get a chance to give any, fair warning for me doing this show. I only, I've been writing a little bit about it and researching it, and I never know when I'm going to have time to do what I feel I need when I need to do a show. So I actually set this show up 2 minutes before I went live, and so I know there's probably not any, live callers, and maybe not even anybody listening to me live on the right now, but this show will be archived immediately after I'm done. We have 7 minutes remaining in this show. If anybody is out there and is listening, even though I didn't give you any time at all as far as fair warning on this show, the guest call-in number is 646-929-0937. I'll be glad to answer any questions. I wanted to bring this story out because I found it so amazing. I ask that you go and check out the videos for yourself. Everything, if you want to go to YouTube or Rever.com, www.youtube.com or www.revver.com, you can look up Retired Air Force Base. Retired, RETIRED-AFB. That is the name, the screen name, or the supposed, that profile name of William Rutledge, who still lives in Rwanda, and he says that because he's there and nobody knows him as his former life or who he was previously, that he is not in any danger from bringing forth this truth or bringing forth this evidence. But I will take a moment now to pray for him, to pray for his family, and to pray for all those whistleblowers out there that are putting your lives at risk to bring truth to the public. And stories like this are so very important because there's so much that our government is privy to, so much knowledge that they're not telling us about, so many things that are critically important for what's going to be happening soon. I told one of my friends a couple of days ago, she was talking about, things really that didn't matter, celebrities, American Idol, or blah, 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 this or that. And I told her straight up, I was like, all that stuff that you were just talking about, within a year or within 2 years, I think, within a year. But there's going to be something that happens that humanity will no longer be able to just keep our heads in the ground. We're going to have to open our eyes, and we're going to have to come to some very hard realizations about this world that we're living in and the esoteric and strange and mysterious aspects of this world. Now, we don't even know how the pyramids were built or how all these ancient remains came to be here on this planet. We certainly don't understand how similar structures have been placed on the moon and Mars, and we certainly know that it was not humanity that created those structures or those civilizations. Even this planet here has massive, massive amounts of artifacts and entire cities and just all kind of strange anomalies that cannot be explained unless you understand who the Nephilim were, how they relate to the aliens or the ancient astronauts, and you understand about the incursion that took place in Genesis 6:1-4. Unless you know about the Nephilim and their giant children and how their incursion brought all evil into the world, you may be at risk for blaming God for the evil you see in the world, when the Lord had originally intended to establish all of creation in perfection and to give us the bounty and the blessings of the entire universe. He wanted us all to live in peace and harmony and joy with each other and to be part of the grand monarchy in service to our Lord. But the fallen angels, they chose otherwise. They chose instead to manipulate and to deceive and to also to infiltrate and to interdict into the affairs of humanity. And that interdiction into the affairs of humanity has brought all kind of evil upon this planet. You'll notice that many of these civilizations that worship these multiple gods, these pagan gods, that they honor these gods in sacrificial blood rites, often when flesh is eaten or blood is drank. And you know that's an abomination to the Lord. That was one of the reasons why Yahweh wiped out the seed of the giants after the flood, after the deluge. It was because they had such insatiable appetites that they would eat humanity and drink the blood of humanity. And so the Lord brought on the flood and established Noah and his family as a pure bloodline to repopulate the planet. But as it says in Genesis 6:1-4, the giants and their bloodline, they survived before the flood and even after. But I'll go more into all of this in further shows. I'm going to have a very surprise guest in March, and I will announce that as time comes. We have just a minute remaining, and I want to take this minute to humble myself before Yahweh and Yeshua, Savior Messiah, to honor you, Lord, for the opportunity, the chance that I have to do this show, to even pray these words, to bring out the revelations that you give me insight into, Lord. I just want to help the public and help the world to discern what really is truth and to see the more critical things of life, the things that really, really matter, and to prepare the world for those things that are coming that you give me insight into, Lord. I can only honor you and hope that I can be of service to you with the skills that you have blessed me to have. And so I pray for us all collectively as a world, as a people, and I do ask that we recognize there is an evil presence on this planet, that there is an evil bloodline on this planet, and that people learn that Satan also has his own seed line, and that this seed line is not written into the book of life, and that the enmity between those two seed lines is what has led to all the war, all the division, all the suffering, and all the chaos that we have seen over the eras of history. And so with that, Lord, I just give thanks to you, and I ask that you bless listeners, bless this world, and bless us all, and keep us under your wing of protection, Lord. In Yeshua Yahweh's name I pray. God bless. Talk to you soon.